अस्सलाम वालेकुम। आप देख रहे हैं प्रोग्राम खरा सच। मेरा नाम मुबashir लुकमान है। आज आपको मैं ख़ास एक इंटरव्यू दिखाऊंगा जो मैंने परसों शाम को रिकॉर्ड किया जमाइमा गोल्डस्मिथ के साथ। जमाइमा गोल्डस्मिथ या जमाइमा खान, जिनको उर्फ़ आम पे हम जमाइमा खान के नाम से जानते हैं, उन्होंने एक बहुत अहम इंटरव्यू दिया ARY को, और उसकी एक बैकग्राउंड था। वो बैकग्राउंड भी मैं आपको बताऊंगा अभी। और उससे पहले मैं आपको बताऊं कि एक खबर आपको दूं कि मीर शकील और रहमान जो है इस वक्त दुबई पहुंच चुके हैं और वो सेफ हैं वहाँ पे, पाकिस्तान से चले गए हैं। एयरपोर्ट पे कुछ लोगों ने उनको सवालात पूछने की कोशिश की थी, उन्होंने उनके जवाब देना मुनासिब नहीं समझा। मीर साहब, आपकी कुर्सी यहीं पे पड़ी हुई है, जब भी आप चाहें आप आएँ, अपने ऊपर लगाए हुए इल्ज़ामात के जवाब दें, हम हाजिर हैं। ये एयर टाइम आपके लिए है। एक बात मैं ज़रूर कहना चाहूँगा कि इतने सबूत दिए हैं यहाँ पे, इतने सबूत दिए हैं यहाँ पे, लेकिन ना हुकूमत, ना पैमरा, ना किसी अदालत की तरफ से उसके ऊपर उसको नोटिस नहीं लिया गया, क्योंकि हर आदमी डरता है, घबराता है कि यार इतने बड़े मीडिया ग्रुप को अगर हम कह दें तो वो हमारे पीछे ना पड़ जाएं। तो भाई साहब, हम लोग भी यहाँ पे हैं, अपने दाव पे लगाए हुए हैं, जॉब्स भी, करियर भी, सब कुछ, क्योंकि पाकिस्तान के लिए हम लड़ाई कर रहे हैं, कोई अपने फ़र्द वाहिद के लिए, अपने इंटरेस्ट के लिए नहीं कर रहे। अब देखना यह है कि क्या इस मुल्क में कोई ऐसा ईमानदार पार्लियामेंटेरियन है जो इसके लिए तहरीक अल्तवा जमा कराए। कम अज़ कम ये तो जमा कराए कि ये जो सबूत हैं इनकी रोशनी में तहकीकात होनी चाहिए। अगले हफ्ते में आपके पास कुछ और बहुत अहम इंकशाफात करने वालों इस सिलसिले में। बट वेरी क्विकली, आज जमाइमा गोल्डस्मिथ का या जमाइमा खान, मैं जमाइमा खान इसलिए कह रहा हूँ क्योंकि उर्फ़ आम में उनको यहाँ पे जमाइमा खान के नाम से लोग पहचानते हैं। उनका मैं एक आपको इंटरव्यू दिखा रहा हूँ। आपको अभी तक इल्म होगा कि जमाइमा उन्होंने बड़ी कंट्रीब्यूशन की एक ड्रोन अटैक्स जो पाकिस्तान में हो रहे हैं और मुतवातिर हो रहे हैं, उनके ऊपर एक डॉक्यूमेंट्री बनाई। और मैं बड़े आपको फ़ख्र से कह सकता हूँ कि बहुत बहुत अच्छी डॉक्यूमेंट्रीज़ बनने वालों से भी वो बहुत बेहतर डॉक्यूमेंट्रीज़ है, क्योंकि जिन हालात में, जिस टेरेन पे, जिस जगहों पे जाके और जिन कुव्वतों के ख़िलाफ़ वो बनाई गई, उसके लिए बहुत करेज चाहिए और उसके लिए बहुत हिम्मत चाहिए। और जमाइमा की यानी मुझे दुख इस बात का हो रहा है आज जमाइमा के हवाले से, मुझे एक बात का बड़ा दुख है कि जमाइमा खान वो एक खातून है कि उन्होंने अपना सब कुछ छोड़ के जब वो पाकिस्तान आई तो यहाँ पे मीडिया ने और लोगों ने सिर्फ उनकी बेइज्जतियाँ की। हमने उनके ऊपर यहूदी होने के लेबल लगाए, हमने उनके ख़ानदान को टारगेट किया, हमने जितनी उनके साथ ज़्यादती कर सकते थे एक शरीफ औरत के साथ वो हमने की उनके साथ, और उसकी वजह से उनकी ज़िंदगी मुतासिर हुई। लेकिन एक दफ़ा भी जमाइमा के ख़ानदान या ख़ुद जमाइमा ने पाकिस्तान या पाकिस्तानियों के मुतल्लिक कभी गलत अल्फाज इस्तेमाल नहीं किए। और ये वो एक बात है जिसकी वजह से हम सबको उनसे माफ़ी भी मांगनी चाहिए कि उन्होंने इखलाक का मुजाहरा किया और हमने किन रवायात का मुजाहरा किया। और दूसरी बात मैं आपको बताऊं कि ये जो फिल्म जमाइमा ने बनाई है ड्रोन्स की, आज इसका लंदन में प्रीमियर है अगले 2 घंटे के बाद। वहाँ पे ब्रिटिश पार्लियामेंटेरियंस, हाउस ऑफ लॉर्ड्स के मेंबर्स, यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स कांग्रेसमैन, हॉलीवुड स्टार्स, ओपिनियन मेकर्स, डिप्लोमैट्स, जर्नलिस्ट, ये बहुत बड़ी तादाद में वहाँ पे आ रहे हैं। और थोड़े दिन के बाद यूनाइटेड नेशंस के अंदर इस फिल्म की खास तौर पे स्क्रीनिंग हो रही है। वो काम जो पाकिस्तान की 3 हुकूमतें नहीं कर सकीं, यानी जनरल मुशर्रफ से लेके पीपल्स पार्टी की हुकूमत और अब मियां साहब की हुकूमत, ये तीनों मिलके जो काम नहीं कर सके कि अमेरिका को या वेस्ट को दिखा सकें कि वज़ीरिस्तान में या कबायली इलाकों में किस तरह की जुल्म और बर्बरियत हो रही है, इंसानियत सोच सलूक हो रहा है, वो एक उस औरत ने किया जिसके ऊपर पाकिस्तान में सिर्फ तोहमत लगी, जिसको हमने सुख नहीं लेने दिया यहाँ पे, और उसके मुतालिक आज भी हम गलत अल्फाज इस्तेमाल करते हैं। और ये इस पूरी कौम को सोचना पड़ेगा कि हम अपने दोस्तों के, अपने वेल विशर्स के साथ क्या करते हैं। 2 चीज़ें, 2 ब्रिटिश खास तौर पे जिनका मैं जिक्र करना चाहूँगा एक जमाइमा के अलावा, वो प्रिंस चार्ल्स हैं। मैं प्रिंस चार्ल्स का भी शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहूँगा, क्योंकि बहुत लोगों को ये नहीं पता कि प्रिंस ऑफ वेल्स फाउंडेशन जो है वो आज के दिन तक सिंध के अंदर सैलाब ज़दगान की मदद कर रही है। और प्रिंस चार्ल्स जो हैं वो इस वक्त भी फंड रेजिंग कर रहे हैं पाकिस्तान में सैलाब ज़दगान के लिए। आपको जो मर्जी कहना उनके मतलब आप कहें, लेकिन फैक्ट ये है कि आपने अपने सियासतदान, आपके अपने हुक्मरान, आपके अपनी एनजीओज, ये सब उनको भूल चुके हैं या उनको याद रखा हुआ है। तो मौलवी हजरात ने, जैसे जमात उद दावा है या अहले सुन्नत वल जमात हैं, ये लोग हैं, या प्रिंस चार्ल्स की प्रिंस ऑफ वेल्स फाउंडेशन ने, कि वो लोग वहाँ पे खिदमत कर रहे हैं और बाकायदा खिदमत कर रहे हैं। मैं एक बहुत अहम बात बताना चाहता हूँ कि जब मेरी जमाइमा से बात हुई इसके ऊपर, इस फिल्म को दिखाने के लिए, डॉक्यूमेंट्री तो हमने दिखानी है, आज आपको उसके कुछ हिस्से दिखाएंगे और अगले चंद दिन में उसको हम ज़रूर एक से ज़्यादा दफ़ा दिखाएंगे प्राइम टाइम पे। लेकिन जब मेरी जमाइमा से बात हुई तो मुझे बड़ा ये धड़का था कि शायद ये इतने पैसे मांगें और ये करें और वो करें। शी आस्क्ड फॉर नॉट अ सिंगल रुपी। उन्होंने कहा ये मैंने पाकिस्तान के लिए बनाई है, इसके लिए मैंने जो पैसे जमा किए वो पाकिस्तान के लिए जमा किए हैं। मैं पाकिस्तान का केस पूरी दुनिया के आगे प्लीड करना चाह रही हूँ कि क्यों इनके साथ ये ज्यादतियाँ कर रहे हो, क्यों कबायली इलाकों में ज्यादतियाँ कर रहे हो, और इसका मैंने कोई पैसा नहीं लेना। आई मीन पाकिस्तान में अगर मुझ समेत कोई डॉक्यूमेंट्रीज बनाता है, कोई फिल्म बनाता है, तो पहली चीज़ जो हम मांगते हैं कि भाई हमें पैसा कितना दोगे, हमने तो इस पर इतना लगा दिया। बट दिस वुमन हैज़ कैरेक्टर टू रिफ्यूज़ ऑल मनी। और उसने कहा कि जो भी चलाना चाहता है चैनल इसको, वो इसको चलाए, हम उसको मुफ्त देंगे। तो दीगर चैनल वाले भी, मैं तो रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा, आप ये ना समझें कि ये ARY पे चल रही है, ये आपको इसलिए चलानी चाहिए कि ये पाकिस्तान का इशू है और ये किसी पाकिस्तानी ने नहीं बनाई, और ये हमारी अभी तक उठने वाली सबसे ऊंची और सबसे अच्छी और क्लैरिटी के साथ आवाज़ है, जो उन ऐवानों में जाके गूंज रही है और इंशाल्लाह गूंजेगी, कि जहां पे मुबशिर लुकमान की या कामरान खान की या किसी भी एंकर की आवाज़ उस तरह से नहीं सुनी जाती, क्योंकि उर्दू वो सुनते ही नहीं, हमें वो देखते ही नहीं, हमें आप लोग देखते हैं। आप लोगों ने हमें स्टार्स बनाया, आप लोगों ने हमें हीरोज़ बनाया। गोरे कांग्रेसमैन वगैरह, MPs वगैरह, मैं आपको हाशा लिल्लाह कह रहा हूँ, उनको ना हमारा पता है ना उनको हमारी परवाह है। उनको उनके अंदर से कोई उठ के दिखा सकता है कि बेशर्मो तुम लोग ये गलत काम कर रहे हो। और मैंने जब जमाइमा से ये पूछा कि वो कौन सी मोटिवेटिंग फैक्टर था कि जिसकी वजह से आपने ये फिल्म बनाने का सोचा, सो शी सेड कि 178 चिल्ड्रन बेदर्दी से वहाँ कत्ल किया गया, उसके बाद मेरे से रहा नहीं गया, मैं भी एक माँ हूँ, और मैंने कहा कि मैंने ये बनानी है। और मुझे बहुत शर्म आई, मुझे इसलिए शर्म आई और मुझे मानना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि जब इंसान से कोई गलती हो ना, तो उसका इकरार ही जो है वो शायद सबसे बड़ी सज़ा है। मुझे ये मानना पड़ेगा कि मुझे नहीं पता था वहाँ पे एग्जैक्टली कितने बच्चे शहीद हुए, और वो जमाइमा ने मुझे बताया। और मैं अपने आप को एक वेल रेड, वेल इन्फॉर्म्ड जर्नलिस्ट तस्वर करता हूँ, और आई वॉज नॉट रेडी फॉर दैट आंसर। ये फिल्म बड़ी मेहनत से बनाई गई है, ये फिल्म पाकिस्तान के लिए बनी है, ये फिल्म आप सिर्फ जमाइमा की फिल्म नहीं है, ये पूरे पाकिस्तान की फिल्म है। वज़ीरिस्तान में शहीद होने वालों के लिए है ये फिल्म। वहाँ पे कबायली इलाकों में जितने ख़ानदान हैं, ये उनके लिए एक तकबीर है कि हर ऐवान में जाके गूंजे यह तकबीर कि देखो तुम ये जुल्म बर्बरियत बंद करो यहाँ पे। और ये उस शख्स की तरफ से है जिसने इसके लिए अपना सारा वक्त और सरमाया लगाया, और ख़ुद इसके रिटर्न में एक पैसे की भी उसने भीख नहीं मांगी। मैं जमाइमा खान का जब आप इंटरव्यू देखेंगे, आपको इन सारी चीज़ों का एहसास हो जाएगा कि इसके पीछे कितनी नेक नियति है और इसके पीछे कितनी डेडिकेशन है। अल्लाह ताला उनको हिम्मत दे, बिकॉज आई एम नॉट एम्बैरेस्ड टू एडमिट कि पाकिस्तान का कोई भी एम्बेसडर ऐसा शायद नहीं आया जिसने पाकिस्तान का केस इस तरह से प्लीड किया हो और मुतवातिर कर रहा हो, और बगैर तनख्वाह के, बगैर बेनिफिट के, बगैर किसी चीज़ के। एज अ पाकिस्तानी, एज अ सिटीजन ऑफ पाकिस्तान, आई कैन ओनली से जमाइमा गोल्डस्मिथ, थैंक यू वेरी मच। वॉच Jemima. We have with us Jemima Goldsmith from London, and Jemima has been instrumental in making this documentary on drones, drone attacks in Pakistan, and it's a very well made documentary. It's an extremely well researched documentary, and there's a very professional team that has come together to put this product together. and all for Pakistan and those unfortunate people who've lost their lives or their dear ones. Thank you very much, Jemima, for joining us today. I would like to ask you the first question, which comes to everybody's mind over here, and people have been asking me this question: why Jemima chose to make a documentary or be a part of the documentary about drone attacks on Pakistan?
Well, as you know, first of all, Assalamu alaikum, thank you so much for showing the film on ARY. First of all, my association with Pakistan is ongoing. I lived there for close to 10 years. I've got 2 half Pakistani children. And my primary reason for wanting to make this particular documentary is that I am really increasingly fed up by the number of lies that are told us by not only from the US end and their official figures, but also, I'm afraid, the Pakistan government as well, who've been engaged in the same kind of propaganda. And this film is the real stories about the families of the victims of drone strikes. And we hoped, when making this film, that when people hear those real stories and they see a human face to the policy, that it would change public opinion and make people understand that it's a counterproductive policy that is causing more terrorism whilst also sacrificing innocent lives.
Jemima, you know what our problem is as Pakistanis? I'm talking from experience that we do our talk shows in Urdu. Most of our press is vernacular press, which is Urdu. And somehow or the other, our narrative or our apprehensions, they never reach out to those in the West. And as a consequence, we feel totally isolated. And now comes this documentary, which is a great documentary and a great attempt. Do you think that it will help bridge the gap between the Pakistan and frustrations that Pakistanis have regarding the drones and the Western opinion makers?
The protagonists in the film, so some of the people that you see featured in that film, spoke last week in front of Congress and talked about the real impact of drone strikes on their lives. There's been a great deal of press surrounding the film in America. And we've made it, obviously, not just to show in Pakistan, although it's great that you are showing it on ARY, but we also want it to be shown on American television, and in the UK we have the premiere here next week, and it will be available on YouTube to watch for free in a few weeks. And, you know, you're right, public opinion in America is very much in favor of drone strikes, but we're hoping that that is because they're fed the same, you know, the usual lies that drones are about, you know, precision and that there's no collateral damage. And we know that's not true. We know because we've met and we've heard the stories about the victims of drone strikes, and their families have come forward. And, you know, we know that 178 children have been killed as a result of those attacks. And that's according to the BIJ, the Bureau of Investigative Journalism. And we know that Amnesty International have come out with a report. And Amnesty International have actually, and backed up by the UN, have claimed they think that war crimes have taken place and they want to see accountability for those crimes. But, you know, our main objective is to show to represent the victim story. Because, you know, people have asked me and they've said, well, you know, the film is a bit one-sided. Well, that's deliberate. We've heard the other side. You know, that's all we've ever heard is the official side, the denials, and the insistence that drone strikes are accurate and they don't kill innocent civilians. We've heard that from everyone, from official press releases, right, you know, and from the President of America himself. And we know that that's not true.
You know, ARY will be showing this film more than once, I can promise you that. But having said that, I'm very curious about one thing, that there is one basic element missing in the film. And that is that FATA, actually, which is popularly known as a tribal area, is actually part of Pakistan. So that is also an attack on the sovereignty of Pakistan. And somehow or the other, people in the West, especially the opinion makers, miss out that very elementary aspect.
Yeah, and let's not forget, that the US is meant to be an ally of Pakistan, so it makes it all the more extraordinary that you bomb your allies. But I think there is a problem. That's why we wanted to focus on these very real stories. A 6-year-old girl talking about her grandmother being killed while she went out to pick okra in the fields. The reason why we wanted to focus on those stories, because I think there is this disconnect. We saw Obama in tears when he was talking about the Sandy Hook massacre in America and those 28 children, I think, who very tragically lost their lives in that massacre. But, I want to ask, why are there not any tears for the 178 children who have lost their lives in America, and a large number of those directly as a result of policies that he has put in place? So I think, there is this disconnect where, brown people far away don't matter for some reason as much as American children, and that has got to change.
Now, there's one thing that I fear, that when you were Jemima Khan, you faced a lot of criticism over here for many reasons, and most of that was very unfortunate and unfair, I must add. And now that you're Goldsmith, and you're making this film, or you've made this film on the drone attacks inside Pakistan, that will not make you very popular in the British society as well. So are you aware of that and still you went ahead, or will you now face that?
God, I've long since stopped worrying about what people say here in those kinds of circles that you're talking about. But I'm not worried about that, no, is my answer.
Jemima, I want you to tell us and the viewers basically how did the idea come to you? Why did you think of making a film on the drone attacks? 178 children? Right, you have a great case over there. But at what point would you say that you sort of decided, yes, now I'm going to bring this to the attention of the rest of the world, and I'm going to make sure...
Well, I think part of the problem is that because it's a covert war on the part of the CIA, there aren't really any official statistics. So a lot of people actually don't have the information. I suspect that a great number of Pakistanis are more aware than British people about these wars that are being waged in their name and with their money, essentially taxpayers' money. And because it's a secret war, we don't have the facts and figures and the information. So it's very easy to lie to the public. And equally, it's made even easier because Waziristan is not an accessible place where journalists can't go, and or certainly can't go easily. And so it's I thought that it was really important to make a film which actually shows the other side and tries to get beyond the figures.
So now, when do you screen this in the US?
In the UK? Did you
Sorry?
say? We've done the Washington and the New York screenings.
Okay.
We've got the screening in London on the 6th of November, so the day after tomorrow. And then, and I've invited, politicians, MPs, opinion makers, journalists, people of influence who I feel would benefit from seeing the film. Then we're going to send it out to more of the same. And then hopefully people will watch it on YouTube as well, and via social media we can get people talking.
One part of the film is that you've brought in awareness to the rest of the world that, okay, this is an atrocity that is taking place over there. It is killing the innocent children, women and men over there. And now the other part is to rehabilitate those families, to bring them and make them a part of the mainstream society before they get sucked into by terrorists and, by their recruits over there. Do you think we can do something towards that together?
I think you're right. I think there's lots of different things that we need to kind of aim for. The main objective of this film is to try and change public opinion and get drone strikes stopped, to get people to respect international law, because it sets, apart from anything else, a very dangerous precedent to completely ignore international law, kill without trial. And also one of the things that I would like to see happen, although it's not really addressed by the film, is, some form of accountability whereby criminals on both sides are held to account, whether that is the criminals in the US who have conducted war crimes or guilty of war crimes, but also the terrorists in Pakistan who also need to be brought to justice. But there needs to be a system for that, and arbitrary assassinations without trial, I don't think, are the answer. And I also don't think they make the world a safer place. I think one of the fundamental objections that I have against drone strikes is that they make everybody less safe. They increase jihadism. I don't think they decrease it. I think that it's a short-term solution to a complicated problem.
Jemima, I have to ask you a personal question, and you'll excuse me for that. Because when we were discussing the possibilities of putting this on air over the email, I am categorically clear that neither yourself, nor your agent, nor your manager, nobody asked me for any monetary gains. Nobody asked me for money. I mean, you've actually put in all your time, your effort, and definitely a lot of money, and you're not looking for any monetary gains in return, or even to break even, or to cover up the costs of the project. What has prompted you to go this far?
Well, it's a not-for-profit film. We're right. We're not even releasing it in cinema theaters. It is purely for advocacy purposes. We probably wouldn't be able to make money from it even if we wanted to, but that's not the aim, and it's free to view. And that's because it is about hopefully changing public opinion and changing policy. But it's something that I care really deeply about, and something needed to be done in the face of relentless lies and a whole machinery behind those lies.
Do you think that we can finally hope to get our narrative across to the West as to what is really going on over here and what really transpires over here in the frontiers, in the tribal area? And do you think that people are going to be more sympathetic to it now?
Well, that's what we're hoping to do. I mean, some of it is ignorance and a lack of information. That I would say is broadly the problem. But, in official circles, it's willful misinformation. I mean, there's no question that those people who have signed off on drone strikes know exactly how many innocent civilians, or at least they know there have been civilians and innocent people killed as a result of that policy. And also, I mean, I'm sure you've seen that the Pakistani government has changed the figures, the official figures, in the last week. That's since all those families of victims went and spoke in front of Congress. It's also has to be noted, it's since the 1.6 billion in military aid was agreed between the US and Pakistan. So I can't help thinking that that is connected. The striking thing is that according to those new Pakistan figures, which conflict with all the independent organizations, including Amnesty, the UN, the Bureau of Investigative Journalism, and conflict with earlier government figures and early figures coming out of Pakistan, these new figures effectively call a 6-year-old child with shrapnel wounds in her hand, they effectively call her a liar. She stood up in Congress and said, my grandmother was killed, I saw her killed. She has the wounds to prove that she was, also injured by the drone strike. And according to these new figures released by the Ministry of Defense in Pakistan, there have been no civilian casualties or fatalities since 2012. Now, that directly conflicts with the stories that we are told by the people in this film. So they are effectively being called liars. And I know whose side I'm on.
Jemima, I have to tell you one thing very convincingly. I am convinced that the government of Pakistan is definitely not speaking the truth. And I can say it on record over here. Because there's a lot more that goes on over there than meets the eye. And frankly, we don't even cover it that much in the media as we should. And that is a shame. But having said that, my question is that who all, besides yourself, were instrumental in putting this project together, because we must know their names as well, and we must, as a nation, begin to thank them as well.
Sorry, I didn't hear that very clearly, but I think you were asking me who put the project together, and
Yes.
There's Brave New Films have made lots of really brilliant, worthy films. They've operated as a not-for-profit production company for several years, and this is one of theirs, and I've been involved and helped them. And then, of course, we should thank Shahzad Akbar, who is the lawyer who's kind of waging a one-man legal battle from Pakistan, and he's been a real hero in this struggle to get the facts and the truth out there.
Do you think now that you've put this together and there's it's documented in audio video genre, do you think that we can at least plead a case to the United Nations showing this documentary over there and say, hey, this is where you're going wrong. You may be killing terrorists, fine, but you're killing an awful lot of innocent civilians as well. And please start thinking before you get to do that again. Do you think we have a case now?
The film is actually going to be screened in the UN in Geneva, I'm told. That's the latest that we've heard. And we're hoping to show it in universities as well, and we really want it to be shown as widely as possible. I think you're right. I think the message is you can kill what they call high-value targets. No one's denying that there have been terrorists killed by drones, but that's not the solution. No one, I don't think anyone, I doubt anyone will argue that just because they've now managed to successfully assassinate Hakim al-Massoud, that there won't be a new leader waiting in the wings to take over. And I don't think anyone's arguing that that assassination will in any way decrease terror attacks either on Pakistan or outside Pakistan. I think we all know that it's very easy to replace a Taliban leader with somebody else who's equally threatening to the security of Pakistan. It's more important that we look at the policy and understand that these drone strikes are creating more militancy, and I have no doubt about that. I mean, actually, you even hear from the young boy in the film whose grandmother was killed and who injured his leg, who said, I want revenge. I mean, we know that revenge is very much ingrained in the culture of the tribal areas. And if a family member is killed, who can blame somebody for wanting revenge, frankly?
Jemima, you are
an innocent family member.
Yeah. You are active on the social media, especially Twitter, and you must read the tweets that come your way. The youth of Pakistan are very frustrated far as this issue is concerned, the drone attacks. And everybody asks me only one question: what can we do? What can we do to, make a difference over here? I'm giving you 3.5 minutes to speak to the youth of Pakistan, and please tell them what they should do or what they can do.
Okay, well, we need you to go to americasdronewars.com, which you'll, in a week's time, the film will be available there to download. And we need you to make a noise about this, to pass the film on to as many people as possible, it's pressure. You have to believe that public pressure can and does make a difference.
Yep.
And I'll continue to do what I can do internationally in America and in the UK, and to influence people who can make a difference. We've already got a lot of support for the film, and we've had a number of politicians who are coming to the screening on Wednesday and who have promised to support us. But for example, today, on Wednesday, there was meant to be an all-party parliamentary group meeting to discuss the issue of drones, and that was contingent upon the families of the victims coming to talk to them, as they did in front of Congress last week. And we never got the visas. The visas were meant to come through, and for whatever reason, and you can
Jemima, you know, sorry, go ahead, sorry.
Well, we didn't get the visas, and so therefore the meeting has had to be cancelled, which is a great pity, but we'll keep on trying.
You know, there's one thing I had to tell you, and I wanted to say to you, especially on behalf of those living in Waziristan, and generally every Pakistani and myself, I want to thank you on behalf of all of us for taking this initiative and speaking for those unfortunate people. And there's only one thing I can say: God bless you. What else can I say to you, honestly?
Thank you, and also thank you so much for all your work. I know that you've been really strong on this issue, and also thank you so much for agreeing to show the film and for just generally...
No, we'll show it, and we'll show it more than once, I promise you that. And I want you to understand one thing, that as ARY, my management and myself, we are committed to supporting you in this noble cause wherever you want our assistance, our support, our cooperation. You just give a shout, and we'll be there.
All right.
Thank you very much, Jemima Goldsmith.
Told that they have intel that this guy is there and they're gonna strike him. And so, like, if this guy's a high-ranking bad guy, like, why not? There was a lot of activity there early that day. Pretty much everyone's left. But the intel that the guy is still there. And so we fired, and then 6 seconds before missile impact, something runs around the building. When I brought that up, the screener who disseminated the video feed said that it was a dog. But I don't think that he ever mentioned a dog the entire evening of them monitoring. I mean, I was pretty much brand spanking new at this. I'd only been doing it a couple months. So who was I to question? I doubt myself at times, like, maybe I was seeing things, but ultimately I believe there was a child killed, and that burden is placed on me. Doing this, I had to really think about why was I here? Why am I doing this? I was pretty religious at the time, and I went to talk to the chaplain, and under the orders of my commander, actually, and I got nothing out of it. He's just basically like, it's God's plan. It's God's plan for people to die. Like, that, I don't want to hear that shit. I didn't feel like I was a part of anything good or wholesome or healthy or contributing to the greater good. I felt like I was destroying myself. I was taking who I pictured myself to be in my head and chopping it down and breaking it down, taking a sledgehammer to it. And it crumbled.
مونوم دا رفیق الرحمن پلا محکمه تعلیم شه د پرایم سکول ټیچر یم ماشومانو ته سبق یم ما اوس لاس کوله کې کنه ما 10 سال سرویس کورا شو دا بهر د کوم بچو د مستقبل کوشش کوي د مستقبل یې روشنه شي د باوجود همیشه کې مدد د امریکای د ډرون نه کنه لوس نشي دا مو بچی دو نبیلا نوم دا یو مو بلا بچی دو اسمانوم دا زبیر رحمان مو بچای دا نو زه په خپل چې سکول نه لوړ شو کلی شه دا دي زکه دي پاشه دي دا و مشي دي زناور دي په راخوارو
دوسری مقصد چې وخت لري ډیره سوکا وا لکه خلک ډیره ښه وخت یې کړه
او 2:45 بجې د ورځې وې زه په خپل چې سکول چټي شپه میرانشاه ته لاړم ما د سکول غانه دی کنه زه د سامان انچارج د سکول کې کنه
ګډې مې تړلې نه را بنا بیا سره
به جزه په ګاډي شنوسیو شخواشي جامې کیدای ماشومان د پرانه میټای وخصي وکنه
چای سلو چای نه مې چای مې در وخت یو خړه پنه وکړلو چې پر ډرونه تا وسپلا کوڅه په کټا شي کمره نه مو چې کله ډرونه تا وټول مې وسنه
نه خړګار دینه چکل
دا څنګه سره وغنجلی
Momen dak dari biapa sayang cedana lagi kali pawal
منډه کړه خاړه لکړ لګي مې ولیدله
دا بصریا تال فول مبشر و ولادو
ni anak picha ke paranja
na mota pata او چې دوام یا کې
دوام یې پته لګا سوره ډرون وشتلی جاديګه په حال کې باندې اول دوه ولې په 15 لاس میټه بعد خل پر پنځ بیا پر ول لکه نه خلک د غاس په سره
دا وی چې دوام او چې نه خلک به شي په پابند ورول
دوام زمير شفاعت یار علمون
چې دا پریواتن په پریواتن مو سیروګه چې وای مرشپل سیرمو مرشپل
چا ډېر زخمی وو او دا نه را وړو بچونه وشال چې سکه میران شاته وړي دي سکه میرلی تا تک پېښور ته وړي دي
The attack was on October the 24th. I came from Islamabad and interviewed the family in Peshawar clinic. But in general, the sense was of a family that had had a very traumatic experience, that were very upset.